I'm going to be talking about the movie Crazy Rich Asians and how I feel that it's a step backward in East Asian representation instead of a step forward like they were trying to achieve. Starting with the history of Asians or East Asians or Asian Americans in Western films. So in 2017, it revealed that out of 1,100 popular films, over half of it, 70% of the characters or cast was Caucasian, and only 6.3% were of Asian descent. So as we know, in traditional American media or Western media, a lot of Asians are perceived as like the foreigner that can't really speak English, or the nerdy person, the quiet guy, and even men are seen as kind of asexual. And unfortunately, there is a very stereotypical image around Asians in Western films. What the film meant to do. So when this film came out, it was very big because it wasn't all Chinese descent or like basically all East Asian cast, which hasn't been done in a really long time. Crazy Rich Asians was the first modern story with an all-Asian cast and Asian American lead in 25 years, and the last to do this was the Joy Luck Club in 1993. So all these articles and media came out and claimed that the movie Crazy Rich Asians would change Hollywood and the American film industry and how we view Asians, because it wasn't gonna be what we normally, or the Western media normally portrays them as. So when everyone heard that there was finally gonna be an all-Asian casted film, that's what everyone focused on, not really, I guess, how you would portray them. It was supposed to, again, change the classic stereotype of East Asians and their portrayal in Western films. And this is where they went wrong. So let's first start off with how Americans viewed the film themselves. So American and Western society is heavily defined by the media we consume. How we view people and view really other societies is how our exposure is on media and what we see other people put out there. And it is developed by the people we encounter in our entertainment and media resources. And I agree that this film is far from the awful portrayal of East Asians. Again, I've talked about what they normally do, making them awkward and nerdy, and where immigrants are often, again, emasculated and asexual. And I put as a recent example Silicon Valley, which Chinese men are seen, again, as nerdy, non-assertive, and socially awkward. But, however, this film on a deeper cultural level doesn't help to dismiss some stereotypes, and I feel in a way it has reinforced them. A big thing Crazy Rich Asian does is enhances the stereotype of materialism and women. So one of the most basic stereotypes that follow East Asians is being materialistic. East Asian women in the West and are portrayed in the West as gold diggers and using their feminine wiles to get men with money. And a majority of the other characters, other than Rachel, the main character, all the young women are after the tall, handsome, and crazy rich heir of the real estate empire, the main guy. They all want him. They're all after him. Even the snobbish cousin, she insults a girl for not being born rich, and she expresses her fortune and her unfiltered dislike towards the underprivileged, thus enhancing the stereotype of women chasing these men, and being materialistic. Another stereotype that the film unintentionally did or showed off was the term model minority. The film gives the image of Asian Americans with the characteristics presented as being hardworking and successful and high-income earners, which isn't all necessarily true. Many Asian Americans explain this simple attribute as completely wrong and damaging. It ignores the bigger problems and struggles that Asians and Asian Americans actually face on a daily basis. The movie, I feel it may unintentionally do it, but it reinforces those two stereotypes that Asians are rich and Asian Americans are the model minority, which in reality income equality is a growing problem, and it's an issue in many societies, not just Western, but like abroad as well. Another thing the film did wrong is basing it in Singapore, because Singapore is a multicultural country. Although, yes, 76% of it is ethnic Chinese, over half of it, but it also has many other minorities, Indian, like many other, and the citizens there don't want to be labeled as a third China. Like, they don't want to be associated with that. And the fact that all these gorgeous, rich people featured in the movie are ethnic Chinese, like, only a few of them were Malaysian or Indian, like, it was completely disregarded. Another big problem with the movie was how it refines Hollywood's Asian man, which they very much tried to do, and I think that's great. So, as addressed before, the typical Asian man is portrayed as quiet, small, asexual in Western films. Like, he isn't masculine. And in the case of Crazy Rich Asians, they tried their best to please the Western audience by getting extremely attractive and buff Asian men. But this isn't the average person, and this isn't the average Asian man. And it may challenge the other stereotype, and I could see why they would want to do that. They don't want the Asian man to seem small and worthless, and that's great, but this doesn't justify anything. Like, it's not the average person. Not all Asian men are tiny and scrawny, but not all of them are super attractive and buff. Just like white superheroes in Western films, like Superman and Batman, like, not all men are like that. Although Crazy Rich Asians did amazing globally, and in the US it made $174.5 million. In China, it barely made $1 million in the first day. In the first night, it made $410,000. Many people in China didn't find it amusing or really good. They thought that the production was really good and the casting was okay, but many people stated that the film was made for the Western audience, like the jokes were made for them, and many Chinese people actually saw the film just full of Asian stereotypes that were celebrated as a success for on-screen Asian representation. Many of them did not enjoy it or really find the jokes funny. Although Crazy Rich Asians did amazing globally, and in the US it made $174.5 million. In China, it barely made $1 million in the first day. In the first night, it made $410,000. Many people in China didn't find it amusing or really good. They thought that the production was really good and the casting was okay, but many people stated that the film was made for the Western audience, like the jokes were made for them, and many Chinese people actually saw the film just full of Asian stereotypes that were celebrated as a success for on-screen Asian representation. Many of them did not enjoy it or really find the jokes funny.